So that is Zodiacs and Candy on 6TR, the bright side of Staffordshire for a Friday afternoon. Myself, Terry Bossons and Phil Carr in the studio.
Hello.
Hello. And on the telephone, as promised, we've only got the one and only Pete Best. Hello, Pete. How are you doing?
I'm fine, thanks, Terry. And yourself?
We're absolutely amazing. What a privilege it is to speak to you again.
Well, I pop up in the most incredible places.
I remember we did an interview in Stoke at the North Stafford Hotel, and it must be now, about 5 or 6 years ago. We filmed it, and I put it on YouTube, and it's had like 70,000 views already. So this interview needs to exceed 100,000, I think.
Oh, well, that's good news.
So first of all, I want to talk to you a little bit about this new museum. It opened in the summer. It's called the Magical Beatles Museum. Obviously, your brother Roag opened it then. What's the response been like to that?
It's been incredible. We were late opening. We opened July, so it's been open about 4 months now. But the response has been good. TripAdvisor, all the reports have gone through, have been absolutely fantastic. So the word is getting out there. We're winding down at the end of this particular season now, along with everything else in Liverpool. But everything is looking absolutely hunky-dory for next year.
Yeah, it looks amazing, the pictures I've seen. I'm going to pop up, hopefully before you close down, if not early next year, because it's one of those things that people now coming to Liverpool are heading for. It's another thing that'll be on that Beatles trail. It's on Matthew Street, and a bit of surprise now and again if you go in there, you might bump into yourself.
Well, I'm pop in the most incredible place. But, in view of the fact that, this is our little birdie, I'm in and out by the minute, so sometimes they're lucky, sometimes they're not,
Yeah.
If I'm here, I'll give them a wave and give them a big hug and all the other bits and pieces that go with it.
Oh, I bet you shock so many people, though, when you're there. Because these people
well,
are massive fans. Yeah.
We're not talking about that before. We just had an Australian in from Adelaide, of course, the big Adelaide concert that Beatles did way back. And it's been his pipe dream, allegedly, to meet me, being one of the originals. And Roag turned around and said, just turn around a sec, I was just coming up the other end of the corridor. And he said, there's Pete. So by the time Roag picked him up again, he was okay.
I can imagine, though, because, you've said you've popped up in the most unusual places, and to see you in a Beatles museum must be just blowing of the mind.
Well, sometimes I feel as old as the museum, but let's not go past that.
You're not an exhibit just yet.
You've got everything else, but not me. Yeah.
So, what are the highlights for people who haven't been? What are the things that you can see if you go in?
Oh, Terry, it's incredible. There's 3 floors, and we will penultimately open another floor next year, but at the moment it's 3 full floors. 59 to 62 is the first floor, 63 to 65 is the second floor, and 65 to the end of the story is the third floor. And within those, the floors that have got the time frames on them, there's memorabilia which is appropriate to that time. There's drums, guitars, my old leather jackets, ski jackets, photographs, unseen footage, interviews with Paul. It goes on and on and on. And then each floor you move to, there's a different theme. 59 to 62 is the black and white era, because of the pictures. When you get onto the 6th floor, it explodes into colour, because that's when colour evolved.
Yeah.
And then by the time you reach the 3rd floor, that's the hippie power. So you're into, the psychedelia area. So there's it's absolutely incredible. There's stuff there from the Australian tours. You name it, diamond pendants, the diamond awards, stuff that the kids have never seen before.
Yeah, and it's been a bit for Roag as well, collating all this stuff over the years, a bit of a labour of love.
Well, he was. I mean, he started, he was, like everything else, he was a bit of a hoarder to start with, he won't mind me saying that. And, as it progressed, I think we owe that to our dear old mother Mo, because she was a hoarder.
Yeah.
Thank God she didn't throw the stuff away, because we've inherited that and it's part of the museum. But yeah, with Mo's collection, his dad's collection, my collection, his own collection, it's all come together now under one particular roof, so it's absolutely fantastic.
Yeah, you're really, really close brothers, and you tour the world together still. and get to play in some amazing places. Is there anywhere that you really love going to?
Oh, America was a big favourite. We went back there so many times. You know, it was incredible. It was like home away from home. Japan was good. I've got a bit of a bucket list. I'd like to do New Zealand. That's the only place at the present moment that jumps out that I haven't done. Yeah. Who knows? I may get it in while I'm still on the planet. I don't know yet.
Yeah, and you still love playing, though, don't you?
Oh, God, yeah. You know, it's one of those things. I've always turned around and said that I enjoy playing. If you can't enjoy it, you can't get the adrenaline flowing, you can't entertain the people, give them some happiness, and it's time for you to pack up.
Exactly.
Thank God I haven't reached that stage yet. I'm still enjoying it very much.
Yeah. And obviously when you started out in a few bands, and you could have ended up working in a working men's club and being that guy who went boom-tsh at the end of a punchline of a joke. That could have been your job, couldn't it? But you didn't. You were very lucky to be part of the Beatles from 60 to 62 for pretty much bang on 2 years. And last time we spoke, we talked about Hamburg. Is that a place you've been back to?
Oh, yeah, many times. We did the Kasbah reunion there. That was the 50th years. We've been back to the Top 10 Club. We went back to the Star Club reunion. We've toured in Germany, so we've crossed, we've been in Hamburg. I suppose one of the places which we'd like to play is the Indra. It keeps popping up. It's still there. It's reopened again. Whether we ever do it or not, or whether the proprietor will put up with us doing it, who knows? It may happen, but no, we've been back many times to Hamburg. There's lots of good friends that are still remaining out there. Those that are still alive and existing. Yeah.
I've got Phil with me in the studio. He's my co-host, and he's got a couple of questions for you. Hand you over to Phil.
Hi, Phil.
Hi, Pete. You all right?
Yeah, not too bad, son.
Good. So we're just talking about Hamburg. That sounds like a lot of fun during that time. I was just interested to know what's your favourite story, would you say, from the Hamburg years?
Oh, from the Beatles years, or my times back, or
your time with the Beatles in Hamburg. I mean, yeah.
My favourite story. I think it's got to be concerning John. You never bet John to do anything. Because he'd end up doing it. On this particular night, we'd liquored ourselves up. We were playing at the Kasbah, and it got to about midnight. So the liquor and the schnapps was well flowing, and we all decided that we were going to dress up and do crazy things on stage.
Yeah.
So John came out with a pair of swimming trunks on. Nothing else, just a pair of swimming trunks. We bet John. We turned around and said, we bet that in the middle of your number, you won't drop your swimming trunks on stage. And he turned around and said, I'll think about it, right? So we're in the middle of Sweet Little 16 or one of his particular numbers. And next minute, John just stopped playing, turned his derriere to the audience, and dropped his swimming trunks. Which we just caved about laughing on stage. We could see the funny side of it. The German audience stood quite aghast looking at John's backside for a couple of minutes. And then John quite casually pulled them up again and continued playing. But the funny thing was, the following night, they were expecting John to do exactly the same thing.
I thought it was part of the act.
This particular number came down. They were all pointing at him going, trousers!
Oh, nice. Yeah. Did you get a lot of tips that night?
Yeah.
That's great. And then the other thing, I was doing a little bit of research online. One of my favourite things I read about you, in the house where the was home to the Kasbah, was the story about how your mum bought the house.
Oh yeah. I mean, it's unbelievable, isn't it?
Yeah.
It was basically.
Yeah.
She'd seen this house, which is an old Victorian house in the middle of West Derby in Hayman's Green. And she went to my father and basically turned around and said, interested in buying the house? And he went, no, not for me, darling. It's a big white elephant. Not interested. So unbeknownst to us, she had her heart set on actually. She'd fallen in love with the property already. Mm. So she had her heart set on it. And unbeknownst to us, she went and pawned all her jewellery. And she betted on a 33-1 outsider running in the Derby. A horse called Never Say Die.
High risk.
Being ridden by Lester Piggott, a novice jockey. right?
Yeah.
That horse romped home at 33-1.
Wow.
Okay, we were watching her, and she became more and more animated as Never Say Die came closer and closer to the winning post. And at the end of it, she more or less bloody well jumped on the kitchen table, did a tap dance, 3 ballerina twirls, and shouted out, "Yahoo! I won my house!" And that was the first we'd actually heard about it.
Yeah,
amazing.
And when she told us, we just basically turned around and said, "Mo, absolutely fantastic. What would have happened if Never Say Die had lost?" She said, "I never even thought about it."
Oh,
yeah, I didn't
the caliber
think about
of the
that.
woman.
yeah.
Wow,
That is
amazing
that's
story.
strong. Have you ever met Lester Piggott to say thank you?
I did many years afterwards. Yes. Funnily enough, and I met the owner of Never Say Die. You know, the guy who brought him into the world. So yes, we run the full gambit. You know.
Yeah.
Wow.
My next question is: you've been portrayed in quite a few films and TV shows. Have you got a favourite film or show that you've been portrayed in by a certain actor?
Not really.
No.
No. I suppose Scott was Backbeat.
Yeah. Very good.
Scott, I met Scott Williams, who played me in that particular film. I met him after the film had been made. You know, it was a lifelong ambition he wanted to meet him because he's a Liverpool lad as well. So we got together in the Graves to turn around and said, "Yes, I've been performing at the Cavern with my own band. We've done a dinner time show there." And I met Scott in the Graves, and he turned around and said, "Have you seen the film yet, Pete?" So I said, "No, not yet, Scott." So he said, "Well, I've got to apologise to you." He said, "I've met you, and you're nothing like I've been told to portray you in the film."
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah, so he basically turned around and said, "I wish I'd met you beforehand," he said, "because I could have argued with the director, right? This guy does talk, he does have a sense of humour,
Yeah.
right? And he does actually exist. You know, he doesn't he doesn't slope around as if there's nothing there."
I think that's the
So,
thing.
but
That,
yeah,
the director portrayed you as something because he didn't know anything else.
I think that's got a lot to do with it. And plus, I think if they've been looking at, what media portrays and some of the books, as someone saying around and said, I'm pretty nondescript. It gives people the impression I never said a word, even though I was written for 2 years. So it's one of those. I think you meet me, and if you're expecting one side of the things, I am slightly different. You know, I'm not turning around and saying it's totally, extravaganza. But I'm not quite the guy who's portrayed in the books. Yeah.
Well, I didn't know what to expect. I'd heard good things about you when I met you all those years ago, and what I really loved is your sense of humour and your great ability to tell a story. And again, you don't see that in any of the parts. That's why I thought I'd ask the question. And I've got a couple of listed questions. Again, they're a bit of fun, these are. So we'll go with the first one. This is from Kevin Wilson. He's an actor. He's in the Shaun of the Dead film with Simon Pegg. But his question was, do you think you could have been an actor? And it's a double part to the question. And would you have been better in The Magic Christian with Peter Sellers?
Actually, in answer to the first one, I actually took to the boards and acted myself in a play at the beginning of the year, Lennon's Banjo,
That's it,
which ran a season here, which was very well received. So, yeah, I have done a little bit of acting, but the good thing about it was I was playing myself. Right, so if I can't play my bloody self, then who the hell can I play? In answer to the second part of the question, God only knows. God only knows.
Very true. Dave Bittler's asked, this is a good question actually, I really like this question. If we haven't sadly lost John Lennon in the early 80s, do you think he would have put the Beatles back on the stage at some point? And I know you knew him from a very early age and what sort of guy he was. Do you think he'd run its course with him and it was something he'd never do again?
No, I think there was a possibility if they'd ironed out all the snags, which the world never saw. There was a lot of problems going on behind the scenes. Breakups and arguments within the band itself, which the world never heard about. I think if they could have got all that resolved, and Johnny patched his quarrels up with Paul, I think there would have been a possibility. Whether, in fact, he wanted to do it or not and go back on the road again, that's a different question. That would be something which I think maybe a one-off, yes, going back and performing in public like they used to do, no. Maybe a recording band, yes.
It would have been interesting, but obviously we'll never know. And I read in an interview with yourself in the Telegraph. You said that about Paul, that you should have it out with you, Paul, in a bottle of scotch.
Yeah, I've always turned around and said a lot of people have the impression, because I think it's karma. You know, if it's meant to be that Paul and I will meet up again, we'll meet up. If it's not meant to be, it won't going to happen. You know, it's simple karma. I'm a big believer in karma. I think I told you that before.
You did.
But it was very much a case of, you know, a lot of people expect, you know, because of what happened and the circumstances involved in the dismissal, you know, the first thing I'm going to do is smack Macca right in the gob. You know, well, that's going to be furthest away from my imagination. You know, that's where I turned around and said, you know, we're both elder statesmen now. You know, we both got families, we've reared grandkids. You know, we've been around the world. He's been on one side of the world, I've been on the other. We've still been in show business. You know, let's get together if it's going to happen. Stick a bottle of scotch on the table, put our feet up, and let's laugh and joke about the old days.
Exactly.
And I think that would be the best way to do it.
It would be. It would be. The final question is an easy one. Glenn Talbot has been mithering. He's a presenter at Six Towns. He said, can he have your autograph, Pete? Can we arrange that?
Yeah, we'd sort that out with Roag.
Yes.
You know, there's not a problem on that particular one, yeah.
Well, it's been an absolute pleasure getting you on today again. And like I said, we want to get this interview to 100,000 views. Have you got a message for all the listeners? Because a lot of people have been in touch when we said that you're coming on. Have you got a message for everyone who's listening?
Yeah, it's been great being able to talk to you all again. I hope that you get yourselves into Liverpool, see the magical Beatles Museum.
Yeah, definitely.
It's definitely worth a shout. And if I don't get to talk to you all before Christmas, have a great Christmas and wish yourselves all the best for the new year.
Pete, always a pleasure.
Cheers,
Lovely
Pete.
to get you on. Thank you to Roag as well. We'll speak to you soon. You take care.
Thanks again, Terry. Thanks
Bye-bye,
again,
mate.
Al.
Have a great
Thanks a lot.
weekend. See you
Bye,
soon.
bye, bye.